What's going on, everybody? Tim here, back with another video. Just out on my morning walk, out in the scenery, out in the greenery, enjoying some nice clean air. This is what I love to do. And I also love to turn the camera on, talk a little bit while I'm on these walks. And I was thinking as I was walking today, one of the best ways to get the most use, or the best way to get the most use out of something in life, is to use it in the way and in the manner in which is most useful. Seems very simple, but we don't always do that. A good example of that is money, okay? And I realized that one of the reasons I'm always doing these videos talking about money and what money can't do for us, and so many people think I'm being negative on money, but I realized that my goal is actually to debunk all the ways in which we use money that aren't useful so that we can use it in the manner that's most useful for us so we can get the most out of it. I want us to maximize our financial abundance. I don't want us throwing money away on things that aren't beneficial, aren't going to bring us a return. And this brings me to a post I did a couple days ago where I was talking about how love has nothing to do with money. And I knew when I posted this, I knew I was going to get a lot of comments. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. Anytime you talk about money, and if you just don't say it's the best thing ever, people are going to disagree with you. And we feel very strongly about love. So I knew there was going to be some issues in the comment section. And sure enough, the people who disagree with me, now there were some people who agree with me, but the people who disagree with me, it was mainly in two areas. They said money makes you more attractive, and they said lack of money can ruin relationships. So those were the two areas where people were like, nah, you tripping, Tim. I wanted to address both of those. Because if we can debunk this idea that money can buy love, then we can stop wasting our money trying to buy love. So first I want to say, on the attraction front, there's a big difference between love and attraction. I'll be the first to admit, and I even said it in my post, that money might get you noticed quicker, okay? Money might get you noticed and make you more attractive to some people. Some people who wouldn't look at you before, when they see the trappings of wealth on you and around you, they might start paying attention to you. But that doesn't mean it's true love, okay? If attraction is enough for you, cool. When I was in my 20s, attraction was enough, okay? She just needed to be attracted to me for one night, okay? Really about 2 hours. Anyway, if attraction is enough for you, fine, cool. But if you're actually like I am now, and a lot of people are as they get older, if you're actually looking for true love, then attraction isn't enough. Attraction gets you in the conversation. It might open the door so that the person will spend enough time around you so that they can fall in love with you maybe. But attraction is totally different than love. So yeah, money can help with attraction. That doesn't mean it can buy love. And this is somewhere I especially think that young men, and this is kind of the reason I made that post, is because I'm big on helping out the youth. I try to help out the youth. And everybody, but especially the youth. And I know there's a lot of young men out there who their goal for finding a mate is just to get as much money as they can. That's the goal, because society has taught them that. You're trying to get with a baddie, get your money up. And it might help you to attract her. She might come around, but money is not going to make her fall in love with you. As long as you know that, okay? Get your coins up. Stack your coins up, bruh. Stack your coins up, sis. I want you to be financially free. I want you to be have financial abundance, okay? Money brings you freedom. Money can bring you opportunity. Money can open some doors. I'm not saying you need to be out here broke. I want you to stack your chips up. Just know that there are certain things like true love, like someone genuinely being into you because of you and wanting to spend their time and their life with you through thick and thin. Money can't buy that. it might open the door a little wider. And if, there might be some people who would fall in love with you anyway, who maybe the money allows them, gets them to notice you. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's up to you. But it's not going to make them fall in love with you. There might be somebody who wants to fall in love with you because of your money, and they can't, all right? We all know people that maybe not money, but just in general. I know I've had cases where I'm like, man, me and that person would be perfect. On paper, it would be perfect, but it's just not that. Like, I can't make myself care that way. I can't make myself fall in love with them. Even if somebody's like, man, this person's got a ton of money, and they're a decent person, I'd love to fall in love with them. They can't make themselves. If you can't make yourself fall in love with somebody, then money definitely can't make them fall in love with you. And the second thing I wanted to address is when people said that, like, hey, when people have money, the relationships go better. Once again, there's a difference between relationships and love. Now, when you fall in love with somebody, typically you get in a relationship with them, yes. But there is a difference between relationships and love. That's why a lot of times when relationships end, and maybe it was over money problems or whatever, and a lot of times when relationships end over money problems, it's not lack of money sometimes, is they just wasn't doing the right thing with their money. Let's put that out there first too. But even then, if relationships end for whatever reason, one of the main things you hear people say is like, I still love her though. I still love him though, because the love is separate from the relationship, right? So once again, I want everybody to have enough money so that money is not an issue in their relationship. I want you to have fat bank accounts. I want y'all to pay y'all bills. I want y'all to pay the mortgage on time. I want y'all to send the kids to the private school if that's what y'all want to do. But there's a difference between a relationship and love. And true love is not affected by money. Your relationship might be, but true love is not affected by money. And anyone out here watching this who's ever been like truly in love, I think you know that, like, whether that person became a millionaire tomorrow or they went flat broke tomorrow, anyone you've ever really loved, you would still love them regardless, right? True love is not based on money. I think we have the ideal that it is, especially in relationships. I think it's a holdover from a time when, like, everybody was in arranged marriages, right? Back in the day, everybody was in an arranged marriage, okay? And, like, yeah, if you had more goats or more cows or more chickens, you could probably get a better mate, right? Because that's what it was based on, If you had, a beautiful child, you could probably get a better match for them. You could get more, and if you had more goods, you could get a better marriage because it all was arranged. The love came afterwards. These days, we're a little more evolved, possibly. Depends on how you look at it. And most people get married for love. But we still have this ideal that, like, oh, if I have more money, then love will come my way. And it's just not true. More prospects might come your way, but that doesn't mean love is going to come your way. If the money guaranteed love and, like, happiness in relationships and marriage, then rich people, famous people, and powerful people would all be happily in relationships or happily married, and they wouldn't have any issues on that front. And we all know that's not true. We all know this isn't true. In fact, I think when we're going back to the attraction thing, sometimes having the money or having the fame or the power or whatever is more of a hindrance, because you are attractive to more people. You always got people coming at you, and it becomes harder to stay faithful. Even once you fall in love, it becomes harder to stay faithful. Sometimes it's a hindrance. So I think it's fine if you want to get your coins up and, like, you want to, if that's what you're looking for. If you're just looking to, like, attract somebody, cool. If that's how you want to spend your money. Now, I honestly think it's better to not take your money if you're making good money and use it on the trappings of wealth to try to attract somebody, I think it's better to put that into like hard assets or experiences or things that are beneficial to you or more beneficial in the long run. Because if we're being really honest, those are things that can attract people to you as well, right? You want to know something that's very attractive? A mate who listens. You want to know something that's very attractive? A mate who's been some places, done some things, and has some things to talk about. What's really attractive? A mate who spent the time and the money to educate themselves. However they feel they want to educate themselves. These are the type of things that are attractive. Put your money into something, some hard assets, if that's what you're into, or some things that can be have long-term benefit for you. And like as you grow, that also makes you more attractive, right? You don't want the only thing to be the money that brings people around. Because look at this, think about this, and this is a big one. If you truly believe that money makes people fall in love, that money and love are linked, and say you do get your coins up, you do get your shekels up, and you out here balling, and you attract a mate, right? What do you think you're gonna feel, or how do you think you're gonna feel when somebody with more money comes around? If you really think I attracted this woman, I attracted this man because I got money, what happens when somebody moves in next door, with more money? What happens when they start working at a job where everybody's making money? If you really believe that it was the money that hooked that person, that people fall in love because of money, when people come around with more money, you're going to be feeling self-conscious than a mug. You're going to be nervous. You're going to be nervous because you think it's the money. Now, I know some of y'all are like, well, by then I would already hooked her. By then I already got him. Well, how did you hook her? How did you get him? By your personality traits, by the things you did for them. Those are things you could do. Those things that you think you're going to do to hook the person once the money's reeled them in, you can do those without money. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's about you. I used to go around and ask people at work, and I would say this was really a steady and attraction. But it had to be people who were like in long-term relationships. And I would say like, what was the thing that made you be like, I want to marry him, or like, she's the one? And no one said money, and no one said looks, right? Those were things that, like, looks was one that people might be like, oh, I saw him across the room and I was like, man, that's a handsome put together man right there. Or like, man, she was just the most beautiful girl I'd seen, stuff like that. But then that was always like the introduction. I'm like, well, what was the thing that made you be like, okay, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person? And it was typically something like their sense of humor, or how thoughtful they were, or that the person just kept bothering them and and wouldn't leave them alone. But it was never like the money, bro. Thought that was interesting. It wasn't looks either. I think about it like this too. It's funny, someone can go out, when we go back to like the attraction thing, someone can go out and do something to make themselves more attractive to the opposite sex or the same sex, and we laugh at them. People go down to, different countries, spend thousands of dollars, get a nice BBL. We laugh at them. Oh, why would you blow money on getting a BBL? That ain't gonna get you no man, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, we think our money and blowing money on like an expensive car, or, all these other, your outfit, all these other trappings of wealth is gonna work. If one don't work, the other don't work. It's a mental thing up here. I also think that society likes to perpetuate the myth that money can buy love, because that makes you go out and buy stuff. Right? If you thinking, oh, if I can shoot, because like if you think money's gonna bring you the love, you got to show you got money, right? You can't just walk up to people and show them your bank statement. You got to show them you got money. So you got to have the fancy car, the fancy clothes, the nice watch, the nice home. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you've been blessed with the financial abundance to have all that, and you like all that, rock with it. But just don't think it is going to find you a good mate that is going to fall in love with you and is going to be ride or die with you any more than if you're just like a regular person making a regular salary and you ran into that same person. That's the thing. And I know, when I talk about this, people like, oh, nobody wants no broke man. Don't nobody want no broke woman. Real quick, let me interject. It's 2024, folks. So when we talk about topics like these, we need to remember that it's not just gold digging women trying to find rich men, right? There are women with money out here, okay? I'm not just addressing this to men thinking they're gonna get money to get women. Women out here making money too. So there's women out here thinking they're gonna get money to get a man. We have, different types of relationships. We got LGBTQ plus relationships. There's men out here trying to get money to attract men. Women trying to get money to attract women, okay? I just want to put that out there because the comments seem very like traditional relationship based and everybody out here trying to get with everybody these days. And once again, women got money too. So calm down, fellas, talking about, it's always the young dudes too. This is why I know they need this message. But it's always the young dudes, like, ain't no women out here who don't care about money and all this craziness. Your beliefs attract who comes into your life. Let's talk about that. Your beliefs attract what comes into your life. I firmly believe that there are a lot of good women out there all over the world, yes, in America too, who don't really care about money like that, right? They don't really care about money like that. Yeah, they probably want you to have a job and, be able to pay your half of the bills. But most of the women I know are not sitting around like, oh, I need a man who makes six figures. A lot of the women I know make six figures. They ain't checking for your money like that, bro. Calm down. But your beliefs attract people into your life. So if you firmly believe, oh, women just want a man for his money, blah, 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 guess who's going to come around you? Guess who you're going to be around? That type of woman. Ladies, if you think all men are just trying to use me for blah, 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 whatever I got, men are dogs, men just want me for my money or they just want me for sex, then probably the dudes that's going to come around. Those are the gentlemen you're going to run into. I'm trying to think in my life right now. I mean, even at work, I just don't know if I know any of these, or very few. And if I do, it is through work, people I have to associate with. But like in my life, my friend group, the women I come in constant contact with, I don't know any women who's out here being gold diggers and care about, how much money a man makes. They just want a good man. People just want a good woman. And we always go to these extremes, folks. We always go to the extreme, and it's either you got a ton of money or you're broke. Nobody wants a broke man. I'm not talking about a broke man. I'm talking about a man who just makes regular money. I'm not talking about a broke woman. I'm talking about a woman that just makes regular money. Most of us are regular people who make regular money, and we just trying to find a mate who does the same. If you come across somebody who makes irregular money, and or if you're the person who makes irregular money and you can use that beneficially when you meet people, cool. But at the end of the day, people don't fall in love with money, or the people you want to be with. the people you want to be with are not people who fall in love with money. You want to be someone who falls in love with you. You want to be with, someone who falls in love with you. Someone who's in love with the money, they will leave you when the money runs out or they find somebody with more money. Somebody who's in love with you will be there with money, without money. That's why the marriage vows say for richer or poor, that's true love. And like I said, if you think back to the times, if you've ever really been in love, if you think back to the times you really loved somebody, you didn't care about the money. You might have been worried about the bills, but you didn't care about the money. You didn't wake up and just be like, oh man, I'm so blessed to spend every day with this person and their debit card. That was not what it was about.